Welcome to this week's episode of Made. So, if you are listening to this episode, I do encourage you to watch the video version on YouTube, only because this is going to be a video heavy episode. However, if you are listening, that is perfectly fine. I'm sure you'll get the same amount of value either way. But jumping into it, just like the title says, yes, I did fire my sales team and I replaced them with the ChatGPT agent. Just so I don't sound like a big a-hole, let me clarify. There was no full-time staff. I had a couple of virtual assistants that I used periodically. I think I just wanted to use a more sensationalized title, but it is still very much relevant and valid because I no longer need those two virtual assistants. So I think it makes sense to explain first what my sales outreach process is, and then you can see exactly how I've managed to use this agent to replace those two assistants. So my process is basically I have one assistant who will go in and gather the leads, and then the second assistant will email those leads, right? So it's a two-step process. I'm doing the slower approach for email marketing. So I know a lot of businesses that want to drum up some business. They will do big, bulky batch emails of thousands of people at a time. I used to do that, and I think it works perfectly fine. But I find that I get a lot more success with super hyper personalized emails. So this process might not apply to your business if you're using bulk email services, but if you're kind of in the hyper personalized email space, then this is a really, really good tool to be using now. So again, it's a two-step process. One person gathers the leads and the other person emails the leads. Now, the person who gathers the leads, I ask them to give me the business name. If there's an owner, if I can get the name of the person, also give me their name. Give me their website, and then I want their email address. Obviously, I need their email address to talk to them. And then what I was having this person do as well, that you're not seeing here yet, is I asked them to look at that person's website, find something about that person, their business, their offering that they can comment on so that they can give that to my cold email outreach assistant. But my personalized emails uses both their name as well as something about that person, their business, their offering, so that the email feels way more personal. So here on my screen, we're looking at our first round from this ChatGPT agent. I asked it to give me 20 businesses that fit this description, right? Just a little bit of background. So I started an automation company. It's called Automation IQ. Long story short, we create customized automations for business owners to help streamline their workflows. So I tasked this agent to find me people within my town, businesses specifically, who could benefit from this type of service. So don't just target any old service, because I don't think that this will apply to a lot of businesses, but find 20 people who can benefit from this service. And then I want you to give me their business name. If there is an owner, I want you to, an owner listed, give me their name. I want their website and their email address. Now, one thing that this agent did, which you can see on the right-hand side, I did not ask it to do this, but basically it's called the evidence. And so it's reasoning as to why this person is a real person, or how it knows that this is a genuine contact. Here's where I found this person's contact on their website. Okay, so that's just phase one. Okay, not too special, but I still think it was pretty cool because it was able to do this in a fraction of the time that it took the person that I had working for me for a little bit. Okay, so phase one, get the emails. So number two, okay, actually, before we get into number two, what you're seeing here on my screen, so this is my Google Spreadsheets spreadsheet. Now, I've tested this agent pretty thoroughly over the last week. Initially, I was having it input all of the data that it found into my Google Worksheets. So far, I will say it's probably not worth the headache of making sure that it's doing it right. I would say it worked with like 85% accuracy, meaning I didn't have to reprompt it over and over again. But what I found to be the easiest thing is to, once you get your list of leads, it's probably going to present it as you see here in this little table format in your ChatGPT window. The next thing you want to do is just tell it to put it into an XLS downloadable file, right? And so then you'll take that XLS file and you can easily copy and paste it into your spreadsheet if that's how you want to track your leads. So just wanted to clarify there. But also while we're here, what you can see is it's already generated 114, 115 leads. And that was done in a matter of like 45 minutes. The people that I was working with prior to, or the assistant that I had gathering the leads, they were fast, but like not this fast. And that's something I'll touch on in a little bit. But as you see, 115 leads, business name. Again, not every one of these businesses is going to have an owner, but the name of the owners are there. If there's one on the website, here is their website, and then here's their email address. So moving on, we have the email portion of this. So this is the part of the process that I actually wasn't sure if this was even going to work. I had no idea if this was like even a thing. But lo and behold, this is the part that sold me. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my email drafts here. First, I want to clarify everything that you're looking at here right now. So I've got 45 email drafts ready to go. These were all composed by the AI agent entirely, every single aspect of it. And we'll jump into an email here in a second. But this is a really cool feature, I think, that it can basically take control of your email. You can craft emails and have it ready to go for you, so that you can verify, you can qualify it, make sure that it's all good. So let's jump into one of these emails here. Okay, so we've got the, it's called the Detail Hub. That's the name of the business. So what you're looking at here is an email, and it's got the email address populated in the to field. It's got the subject using AI to help Detail Hub, which is the name of the company. And then it's got the entire body. Okay. Again, every aspect of this email was done by the AI agent. Okay. And while this does look like a typical, cold outreach email, that's totally cool. Here's the part. So I'm highlighting on my screen the part that I think is the most important. And I will say this is the part that sold me on replacing my team, because I thought that this could only be done by a human. So if you're looking at the screen here, I've got an email. It's basically saying, hey, so-and-so, like, hey, Detail Hub team, my name is Seth. Here's what I do, blah, 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 blah. So all of that stuff is templated. But what I instructed this AI agent to do is, for this highlighted part of the email, I asked it to check their website, see exactly what it is that this business offers, what it is they do, and then I want you to create a connection between my automation services and their business. So talk to that person about how these automation processes can basically streamline that unique individual's business. And so in this case, the AI agent has written, mobile detailing shops can benefit from automatic job scheduling, customer confirmations, and missed call follow-ups to ensure that no opportunity is missed. This helps you spend more time detailing and less time on the phone. That might not be exciting to you, but that, at that very moment, when I figured out that that is how good this agent is the moment that I had to let go of that team. I had to let go of my sales team. There was no way that I could reasonably pay, and we'll get to the cost, double the amount that it costs to run this ChatGPT agent, and for like double to quadruple the amount of time. Does that make sense? Like, when I figured out that it can replicate my entire process and it can do it at a fraction of the cost and speed, it's just an unfortunate reality that small business owners want to save money. And I am definitely one of those people. And so this blew me away. So let's talk a little bit about accuracy. How accurate is this ChatGPT agent? So how accurate is it at getting the business name, the owner name, their website, and more importantly, their email address? I will say that out of 25 emails, maybe one of them bounced. And it wasn't even a bounce technically. It was just that this business owner no longer ran that email. But as far as gathering the business name, 10 out of 10. Their owner name, if there's an owner's name listed on the website, 10 out of 10. Websites are working, 10 out of 10. Again, just one email out of the 25 did not go through, and that's because that person no longer ran that business and or that email. Compare that now to my human virtual assistant. Out of every 25 emails, 7 to 8 were wrong. Like 7 to 8 were bouncing. So that tells me that that person was either using some like automated software that just doesn't work, or they just weren't paying attention to what they were doing. As far as I'm concerned, you can't expect to keep your employment if you're not going to be as accurate or close to as an AI agent. And that's going to be a tall order moving forward. I couldn't justify paying that person to make that many errors. It's a little frustrating. And again, you're doing it at quadruple the speed of this ChatGPT agent. So I couldn't really justify that cost. I will say my virtual assistant who sent the emails did a pretty good job. There was a little bit of like a learning curve in the beginning, but did a really good job. The only downside to working with that person was the fact that they were 10 times slower than the ChatGPT agent. So you couple that with the fact that I was paying them collectively $450 per month to do all these things. Compare that to the ChatGPT agent, which I did pay for the $200 a month subscription. Just going to run that for a couple of months. There's no comparison. I'm sorry. It's hard to sell me on keeping a human assistant for over double the cost and over quadruple the speed that it takes this ChatGPT agent to do. So is this thing perfect? Absolutely not. No technology is perfect, but I will say, regardless of its imperfections, it is impressive. The fact that it was able to take all of the SOPs that I'd given to my two assistants, digest them in like 30 seconds, and then replicate their job in 30 minutes, I think was already impressive. Now, let me jump here into the emails. I don't know if we're going to find an example here because I'll talk to you in a second here what I did. So before I started recording this podcast, I actually gave the agent another task, which was to go in and fix some of the errors that it made. And here's one here. So as you can see, we're looking at an email where there is no email address in the to field, right? So you might get things like that occasionally. If you've got your leads list handy, it shouldn't take too long to figure out who that person is. You can copy and paste it into the draft email. But I'm pointing this out to illustrate a couple things. Number one, it's not perfect. But number two, a lot of these. So before I started recording this podcast episode, there were like 10 to 12 that did not have email addresses. And that is actually a rare occurrence in the last like week and a half that I've been using this thing. It has never actually done that before. So I was able to, before this podcast episode started, tell it, hey, go in, you missed some emails. I need you to go in and add the email addresses to the drafts that you did not add. And as we're clicking through this here, you can see I've clicked 3 or 4. 3 out of 4, now 4 out of 5 have now been populated with the right email address. So it's really good at understanding instructions and understanding what it might have done wrong or what it did right, and then going in and fixing it. I think that is hugely powerful. I will say now the downside, this isn't all sunshine and rainbows, right? The downside to using this AI agent is that it's not as like hands off as I was with the 2 human assistants, right? So with the 2 human assistants, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't even have to log into my email. unless I got an email from a client, right? But they were largely handling the list and the email process, so much so that I did not have to go in, check to see what they're doing, to see if it's right. It just worked because they're human. With this ChatGPT agent so far, yes, I've had to spend more time not babying it per se, but just looking, checking, making sure that it's doing a good job, which I think is understandable, especially given that this is a new technology. We're not even sure how well it's going to work. So there is a lot more hands-on for me that I'm not used to. But I think it's a small price to pay for what it's giving me and at the price and speed that it's giving it to me. So I would say that's the one downside that I've experienced is, yeah, having to go in and like check on this thing, make sure that it's doing the job correctly. But so far, I'm going to give it like a rating of 90 out of 100 or a 9 out of 10 as far as its ability to understand the instructions and execute them to a T. And like what I keep telling myself is that this thing just rolled out like a few weeks ago. Like this is V1.1, right? I can't even imagine what this thing is going to be capable of doing in the next like 5 to 10 years. So there's a lot more grace that I'm giving this thing, this process. I'm basically just here for the ride. I think as a small business owner, you're always looking for some way to get the edge and to stay ahead and to stay more in control of your operation. And I think that's exactly, as far as my sales process, what this GPT agent has done for me so far. Again, not entirely perfect, but boy, am I completely wowed. I'm impressed. I'm a little scared about like what this looks like moving forward. We see this stuff changing rapidly day after day. So I can't even fathom, like even just a year from now, what we're going to be looking at as far as what these agents can do. I'm sure there are tons of different ways that people can use and utilize these agents. This is just the use case so far that I have found to be the most useful to me in running my business. So I'd be really curious to hear how you are using this ChatGPT agent, whether it be in your personal life, your business life. Shoot me an email, write it in a comment. Would love to hear more from you as well. And on that note, I do have a new newsletter and a blog on medium.com. Everything that we talk about on this show will be published onto both of those platforms. You can take a look. I'll leave the information for that in the show notes of the podcast or in the description of the YouTube channel. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you, and I'll talk to you next week.